My name is Commissioner Palmer, and we're here to talk about poll worker recruitment. Recruiting election workers in the 21st century requires novel approaches that take advantage of innovative ideas to reach all segments of our population. In an effort to highlight election offices that are using innovative ideas to recruit poll workers, the EAC has invited Alabama Secretary of State Wes Allen to speak about his state's program. It's called Heroes at the Polls. It's a program that encourages military veterans like myself to continue their service to their country by becoming poll workers. So Secretary Allen is not new to election administration. He began his career in public service as a local probate judge in Pike County, Alabama, where he served as the county's top election official. And during his decades-long tenure as probate judge, he also served as the president of the Alabama Probate Judges Association. He's continued his public service in the Alabama House of Representatives, and in 2023 was elected Alabama Secretary of State. The now Secretary of State, one of his many duties is to oversee elections in the state of Alabama. Now, I would be remiss, though, before we get started, to mention that he also played football for the University of Alabama, which means he has been embroiled in Alabama politics for a long time, and he still probably has many bruises to talk about. But with that being said, welcome. Thank you for joining us, Secretary Allen.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Donald. I really do. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Well, welcome to this EAC interview, and let's just get to it. Tell us a little bit more about Heroes at the Polls and how this program started in Alabama.
Yeah, thank you. Listen, I would need to at least acknowledge and give credit to Frank LaRose, the Secretary of State in Ohio. And when we came in, we wanted to look for ways that we could help recruit poll workers. I'm a former probate judge, as you mentioned, and one of the things that I spent a lot of time on the telephone was recruiting those election officials to serve before and after election day. And it required a lot of time, a lot of effort. And so we wanted to find something that would help our local election officials around our state. Alabama has 67 counties in Alabama. Every county has one probate judge. We have one county that has two probate judges, Jefferson, which is Birmingham. So we've got 68 probate judges are the chief elections official in their particular county. And I knew, having that experience, it took a lot of effort to try to find these poll workers to work on election day before and after. And so I went trying to look for programs, and I wasn't looking to recreate the wheel here. So I saw what Frank was doing in Ohio. I thought that would be a great approach in Alabama, and I want to give Frank credit for that and allowing me to kind of use his program. But we've instituted it here in Alabama, and Heroes at the Polls, as you said, is a way to recruit those veterans, those men and women that have stepped up and served our country to protect our constitutional rights. That they're the perfect choice, in my opinion, to recruit to protect the integrity of our elections, and that is being a poll worker.
And how has that gone? Have Alabamians responded to the call, and is it through your office, or is it through each individual probate judge that they make their, they offer, or they would get recruited?
Sure. So in Alabama, the way it's set up, they have an appointing board in every county. It's made up of the probate judge, the circuit clerk, which handles the absentee voting, and the sheriff, which handles the custody and chain of custody of all the ballots. And so those are your three in every county that do the appointing for poll workers. And of course, I worked alongside my colleagues in Pike County at the time. And I wanted to give them a tool that they could go out and recruit. And it's not done through the secretary's office. It's done through the particular counties throughout the state of Alabama. And I just wanted to give them something else that they could help with their recruitment at the local level. And, we kicked this thing off not long ago, and we did press releases, got on television, did radio interviews about it, and made a pretty big splash, with the announcement. And so we're looking for big things. We've got a runoff election coming up April the 16th in 28 of our 67 counties, primary runoff that is. And then, of course, in the November general election as well coming up. So we're in preparation of that as well.
So I think military members are uniquely situated to do this. What skill set do you believe, military veterans possess that make them, specially suited to be a poll worker in Alabama?
Well, that they are willing to sacrifice. They love their country. They're organized. They have done all these things that have made them successful in no matter what the branch of the military they served. And we feel that is a great attributes to be able to uh, make themselves available to be appointed as a poll worker, to attend the training that goes forth in being a poll worker, and then of course showing up and working on election day. And election days are long days, and they're 12 hours. Our polls are open for 12 hours from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And, you have to get there around 6 or so to get kind of everything kicked off, ready to go, in anticipation of the voters showing up at 7 o'clock. And then after the polls close, it takes a little while to get everything kind of shut down, buttoned up, and get all the results, the unofficial results, back to the courthouses across the state. So, these veterans out there, they know how to wake up early, do a hard job, and stay late. And they're like you said, they're the perfect individuals and to be poll workers.
Well, they're used to training and they're used to doing it by
Right.
the book, and that's what
Right.
we always hope to have in election workers. So
Exactly right.
you mentioned some of the ways that you promoted it, press releases. Are there organizations in addition to the local probate judge that you are working with to sort of promote this and to get people to volunteer?
Sure. Yeah. We reached out to the Department of Veterans Affairs here in the state of Alabama and partnered with them to kind of let them know what we wanted to do. We reached out to the VFW organization here in Alabama to let their folks and their organizations at the grassroots level know what we were wanting to do and what we were wanting to push out and institute here in the state of Alabama. And so that's been some good conversations to let them know that we would really love to employ them on election day. It's not just a volunteer, and they get paid in the state of Alabama to be an election worker, to be a poll worker. So we wanted to make that fact known as well. And I can remember being a probate judge when on election day, I would ride around the county and go to the different precincts that we had in Pike County and check on those poll workers to make sure they had everything that they needed. And really being a poll worker is public service, just like they serve their fellow man, their country when they were in the service. And it's a service to your community. You get to see your neighbors, because in Alabama, we're set up on a precinct level. And so they get to see their neighbors. They get to invest in their community. And then they also get to invest in election integrity, election security, which we hear so much about. And we believe that's some worthy causes.
Well, I think it's a perfect fit because, being in the military, obviously you're serving your country, and each other. And that's really what being a poll worker is. You're serving your country, your county, and you're serving each other. So I always felt that it was a perfect match.
It is.
It is, it really is. So let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned that you really got the idea from Ohio. And you hear about different states with programs, similar programs or related programs. What would be your advice to, let's say, another state that wanted to implement this? What advice would you give them?
Well, first of all, don't overthink it. This is a great program. What Frank's done, and we wanted to do here in Alabama. But reach out to your local officials first. If there are other secretaries out there wanting to, look for ways to help recruit poll workers, reach out to those local officials first. That's what we did, to touch base with them, and we don't want to overstep our bounds in our office on top of them. So we want to make sure we just give them tools and give them some resources that they can tap into to hopefully raise the awareness of the need for poll workers in our communities. But at the same time, talk to them, get their input. When I was a probate judge, always, if there's a statewide elected official wanting our input on things, we wanted to make sure we spoke into whatever issue that was. And so we wanted to reach out, and that's what we did. And but it's a great program, and I would highly suggest that there's any secretaries out there looking to do this, it's something that they can do.
So don't overthink it, but if you build it, they'll come.
Right. I guess so. That's exactly right. Yeah.
So, generally, as we're talking about poll workers and poll worker recruitment, in Alabama, have there been any lessons learned how you educated the public on the need for poll workers and the importance of being a poll worker? Could you share that with our audience?
Yeah. When I campaigned all over the state, I campaigned in every county, all 67 counties, prior to my election back in November of 2022. So I went to all the communities, and of course, at the top of a lot of people's mind was election integrity and election security, and safe, secure, transparent elections, accountable elections. And I always ask to the audience, I'd say, all right, who in here has served as a poll worker? And, you'd have 2 or 3 hands, 1 or 2 hands or no hands pop up from time to time. And first of all, I would thank them for their service to the community and to our state, to their county. And then I would encourage all the rest of those that are in attendance to say, if you've got any questions about our elections process, how our election laws are administered at the local level and at the state level, what better way to find out how it works than to be a poll worker? And so I would just, every time I got up to give a little talk or a speech or whatever to engage with the public, I would do my very best to remember to say and challenge those individuals to go out and be a poll worker. And I can tell you with 100% confidence, those local probate judges throughout Alabama would welcome those individuals that said, hey, call the judge up. I'd really like to be considered to be appointed to be a poll worker. And I know I would have appreciated that, certainly. And we're always looking for help from any individuals that are out there that are registered voters and ready to sign up and be a poll worker.
Well, before I let you go, I always have to ask this question. Do you
Sure.
have an interesting poll worker story or election day story? You've been in the business for a while as a probate judge and now secretary, and sometimes they're fairly humorous. So I just wanted to see if there was an interesting story that you would share.
Well, I mentioned a little earlier about when I would on election day. One of the best things about election day, of course, you work so hard leading up, all the hay's in the barn, leading up to election day. Everything's at the precincts. It's kind of out of your hands at that point. It's in the hands of those poll workers, and how important a job that is for those individuals, and that they're running the election on election day, and you're there to help them. But I always got to ride around on election day, and I tried to do my very, very best, because throughout my years as probate judge, I always figured out who had the best desserts, that would make scratch homemade pies or make homemade cakes or homemade cookies or whatever that may be. So I kind of figured out, and I try to time out my route, when I was in my truck going through all of Pike County to figure out, all right, I can go over here and stop and get a good piece of coconut cake, or I can go over to, this precinct and get, this item, or it may be an entree or whatever. But fantastic people in Pike County, just precious people that cared about their community and took care of me as a probate judge. And, I remember those stories and remember those times with them. And I just want to help make it easier for our local elected officials to find those community leaders, really, is what they are, those poll workers.
So are you saying that certain precincts needed extra attention on election day?
It wouldn't have hurt if they'd have brought some homemade pound cake or something,
That's right. That's right. Mr. Secretary, thank you for speaking with us today. We wish you the best with your program and your recruitment of poll workers. To everyone watching, we encourage you to visit helpamericavote.gov to learn more about how being a poll worker in your community. By serving as a poll worker, you help strengthen our democracy, increase greater civic engagement and volunteerism, and help ensure free and fair elections. Thank you. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Donald.
Thanks.